Welcome to the MADLOVE Your Life Show. I'm Mary D., the Joy Catalyst, here to be your host and transformation guide. Mad Love is about the mad, making a difference, and love is what we serve up to live a delicious life. My intention is to help you spark new ideas, break limiting beliefs, and align with your deepest dreams and desires. Get ready for laughter, inspiration, and finding your inner roar in every show. Hi, friends. I am tender this week because my Nana passed away on Saturday. You guys have heard me talk about her on the show before. She's been a second mom to me for most of my life, and I'm so grateful that I got to share her last full day on earth with her, laughing and praying and crying and singing, and I will always love you, Sharon. Thank you for being such a wonderful role model for me. And thank you for always claiming me and loving me so unconditionally and supporting me. I still feel your frequency. I feel it in my field, and I know that I will always carry you in my heart. So thank you all for witnessing my love for her today. And don't forget to hug the people that you love, to tell them that you love them, and be quick to forgive them, because you don't know how long they're going to be around. You probably don't know how long you're going to be around. And with that, I picked today's topic on reversing time, because the gift that most of us do have is the gift of choice. And those choices can help us lead happier, healthier, and in many cases, longer lives. But long life by itself, it's nothing notable unless you have the opportunity to have quality of life as part of that equation. So welcome to season 3, episode 3 of the Mad Love Your Life Show. Today's episode is health focused, because without your health, your wealth means nothing. And as my friend Brian Johnson says, if you don't take time to care for your wellness, you will have to take care of your illness. So if you've been a listener, then you know that I am someone who loves to track her progress. And one of the reasons I do this is because I am a 7+ year breast cancer survivor who healed holistically after a double mastectomy in 2018. I chose to forego any kind of chemo, radiation, or pharmaceuticals. If you took a snapshot of my health back in 2017, you would have seen that I lost 30 pounds in the last quarter of the year. And I did that by implementing intermittent fasting and counting my macros. I actually didn't work out aside from a little walking a couple days per week. And if you're not familiar with intermittent fasting, that's where you only eat in a small window of time each day at the same time rather than throughout the day, because that lets your digestive system get a rest, so it knows when to expect food and when not to expect food. It's a faster way to get into ketosis, and macros are also where you break down your calories by a certain percentage of protein, carbs, and fat that correlate with your current weight goals. So if you need to calculate yours, and that's something that interests you, you can get a health coach to help you with that. You can also pop it into Google or ChatGPT, and it will typically give you your numbers and help you along to know what you're looking at and where your macros need to be. Now, mostly important to this conversation here is the reason my health became a top priority for me is because when I got breast cancer, that diagnosis faced me with the idea that I could die a lot sooner than I was ever imagining that I would. And I also very quickly realized that I don't have control of when I'm going to die, but I do have a say, and I have choices when it comes to my quality of life, so that I can make however many days I have left really good ones. And I made that decision when I was in the window of actually not knowing what my stage or grade of cancer was, because I knew that once they told me, that could go either way. It could be something where it's like, oh, you barely have cancer, or it could be like, wow, you have full-blown cancer, you're going to die soon. And I didn't know what it was going to be. And I said, what is a decision I want to make from a place of power? And making a decision from a place of power for me said, I'm going to choose quality of life. So let quality be my guiding light. Let that be my North Star. So all of us have different motivations for living, right? Mine is to stay and play here on earth as long as possible, because I'm curious about the world and I want to experience more of it. I want to play with my friends. I want to play with my loved ones, and I want to do life with them. I want to create things and grow them and nurture them. I want to be a light in the darkness and a hope for the hopeless. And I want to live fully and unapologetically expressed. Such a big word. But yeah, fully expressed. So think about your why, because it's going to need to be bigger than you. And bigger than you means something to you that it might not mean to anyone else. So if you're really struggling right now and the world is throwing you daggers, then a vision bigger than you might look more like, I just need a good night's rest. I just need to be able to wake up in the morning. For others of you, it could be loftier, like, oh, I want to invent something that changes the world, or I want to write a book. I want to watch my kids grow up. And all of us have different motivations. So find yours. And some of you are going to have to dig really deep. Some of you are going to be like, oh, I need to make it to my next meal. So this last month, I received an account from Function Health. And if you're not familiar with Function Health, they're an amazing company started by Dr. Mark Hyman. And one of the reasons that I really like Function Health is because they don't just run the typical labs that you get from, say, your annual checkup from your primary care doctor. They run over hundreds of different kinds of tests. So even the ones that have the ability to detect certain cancers early on, organ dysfunction, allergies, you name it. Hormone panels, good for women and good for men. Also, once you get your results, there's a section that actually explains the test. So you don't have to guess what all these numbers are. Because if you've ever seen a blood test, you'll see that there's lots of little indicators on the side and lots of little numbers, and also, maybe what abbreviation for a hormone, but you don't know what it does or why it's important. So what's nice in these tests, it actually explains to you the nutrient or the area of concern, and it's going to tell you why it's important to how your body operates. So you're not just getting this like thumbs up or thumbs down, which it is going to give you sort of like a green light, red light on the test, but it's going to give you a full understanding of what it is and why it's actually important. And the explanation on there that they give you is so simple that if you were, say, 10 years old, you would be able to understand it. And I appreciate the simplicity of medical jargon being broken down into a simple, easy to digest form, because then we're more likely to pay attention. And when we understand these things, we understand how it works with our body. And then it can actually become important to us because we can comprehend it. So one of the scores that I want to talk about today is the one that I'm extra proud of, because from this blood draw, they do what's called your biological age score. And in Function Health, their methodology involves in evaluating various biomarkers, the ones that reflect your body's physiological state. And these markers are related to things like inflammation, metabolic function, hormone balance. You get the gist. And I was pleasantly surprised to learn that my biological age was 35.5 years old. And some of you are like, why is that great, Mary? Well, it's great, y'all, because my actual physical age is 48 years old, which means that by taking care of my body, it's actually giving me back some years. And not only is my physical age 48, but I'm also postmenopausal. And I don't have the string of symptoms that you hear about in so many of the conversations around menopause. I definitely believe there's a direct correlation here. And I also believe that the work I've personally done to get here isn't just about the physical aspects of health, but it's the holistic approach. It's my entire approach to mind and body wellness. And I want to talk to you about that today because it matters. And because even if one thing I share with you today puts you on the track of living a higher quality or quantity of life, we can both feel like we're winning. So there are other ways to check your progress, like using an Oura ring or a fitness tracker, using hair testing versus blood testing. But right now, I do still believe you get the best numbers from blood testing. And these days, it's more affordable than it's ever been. If you want the link for Function Health, you can head over to my link tree on Instagram at the Mary D. You can also go there. There's a bio and a link, and just click there later today. And I'm going to post up for you not only the link to Function Health so that you know how to go to them, but I'm also going to post up a PDF that outlines everything I'm talking about today so that you have your own checklist of things you can try to help improve your sleep, your mindset, and your overall health. Also, a quick disclaimer, Although my initials are MD, I am not a medical doctor. I am just a woman who went from being someone who used to beat up her body with surgeries and diets and eating fads that ended up getting cancer, but then healed from cancer in a way that I felt honored my body and gave me back the quality of life that actually helped me fall in love with my body all over again. I also have the blood work of a healthy female in her 30s when I'm actually a postmenopausal woman knocking on 50. So, as with anything, you do want to consult your team of health professionals, your spirit guides, and your common sense. So, this wellness experience that I am having now, I can tell you definitely didn't happen overnight, but it has most certainly been the direct result of consistent action, daily discipline, and also a desire to live my very best life in my very best body. If you've ever seen me in person, then you will know that I am not some 5'10" supermodel. Okay. I am 5'5", and that's a stretch. I'm like 5'4.8" inches tall. So, with a curvy build, I look like a pear with boobs. And but what matters most in all of that is that I really love my body. I love the way it feels, and I want for you that the ability to also love how your body moves and how it feels, and whatever definition of success is that you want to put on it. I don't like super intense workouts in general. You won't find me joining a triathlon or Wim Hofing in the Arctic, but I do small things every day. And those small things have compounded into what exists today. And this is why you hear people use the phrase, do something today that your future self will thank you for. And my current self is, thanking my younger self for being consistent, for just getting started. And consistent also might look for you like not every day, but rather twice a week. For others of you who are, I don't know, overachievers, and you're already what you would say is the epitome of health, maybe it's twice a day. It doesn't matter. Just get going and know that if you fall off the train, you can get right back on it. Your future self will really thank you. So let's dive in. And again, if you don't have a notebook handy, that's okay, because I put a lot of this in a PDF for you to make it easy that you can grab right from the link. You can also email us at media@madloveagency.com. So that's media, MEDIA, at madloveagency.com. And the team will send you the PDF via email if you don't use social. And we are going to just dive right into my favorite health rituals, practices, the philosophies that keep me feeling vibrant, youthful, and aligned from the inside out. And you're going to get my personal toolkit for aging in reverse and living a longer, better life. Also backed by science, soul, and some seriously juicy habits. So let's dive in. I've broken this down into pillars, and pillar number 1 is nutrition. And I call it feeding your cells while fueling your soul. I, again, am not into trendy fad diets. I did this for many years, and all that happened was that I would lose weight just to put even more back on. And this was the very definition of throwing money away. Today, I'm about whole, organic, nutrient-dense foods that nourish you on an actual cellular level to help reverse that biological age. I limit anything processed. Doesn't mean that I don't ever have anything processed. It means that I do my best to really eliminate most of it. There are so many great recipes and so many great influencers across the globe, really, y'all, that have wonderful, healthy recipes for how to make a healthy batch of brownies instead of a box batch of brownies. And if you just look, if you just dig a little bit, you're going to find that there are some great influences out there that are going to have the same taste that you do. And you'll be able to acclimate a little bit and switch your diet up in a way that still allows you to enjoy the things that you love. Like me, I still love brownies, but I'm going to eat a healthier version of brownies and figure out, like, what does that look like for me? And how can I integrate that into just how I regularly eat so that it's not something that is onerous or really hard on me to do, because the easier it is, then the easier it is for me to maintain and live my best life. I don't want to have to do all of this efforting. And so this is where the ease and flow of just being in that right space comes from. And these are the daily habits and the daily things. So in my house, you're also going to find an enormous amount of raw nuts, bright fruits and vegetables. And a 2022 study in Nature Medicine showed that plant forward, low inflammatory diets are actually associated with a biological age of 2 to 5 years younger than your actual calendar age. So I really believe that your nutrition is such a big piece of that. Some other staples you're going to find in my kitchen are sea moss, fermented foods like pickled beets, sauerkraut, or kimchi, because fermented foods feed your microbiome. They are rich in probiotics, which are those beneficial bacteria that help your gut. And your gut is the home to trillions of microbes, and those influence everything from digestion. So think about how you poop and how it comes out. Very important, actually. Also to your immunity. So are you someone who's sick a lot, or do you have a really strong immune system? And your mood, which is something that affects you and affects everybody else. So if you know someone with mood swings, I guarantee you that they have gut stuff going on. And your gut is often called your second brain. And that's because it contains over 100 million neurons. It also makes 90% of your serotonin, which is the hormone that's responsible for your sleep, your digestion, and again, your mood. I do start my day with a ginger, turmeric, lemon tonic. I make it fresh every week, and I put them in these little 2-ounce bottles, and I take one every morning. It's fresh, it's raw, and of course, I'll have the recipe for you in the PDF. I shoot 2 ounces of this liquid gold in the mornings, and it's the first thing I put into my body on a daily basis, because I know that the gut is the brain of my body and that it's the one actually talking to and fueling my cells. I also drink an entire organic lemon with the seeds and the skin, whole thing, with some olive oil and electrolytes. Also, ideally in the morning before anything else goes in, because I want to really hydrate, right? We've gone anywhere from, unfortunately, some of you are only getting 5 or less hours of sleep. So I'm going to start with 5, but let's say 5 to 8 hours of sleep. So you also haven't had 5 to 8 hours of water or hydration. And this concoction is great for skin. It also tastes like a lemon cream frosty. So you are going to love how it tastes, because it tastes like a treat. Like, I sometimes think I'm having dessert in the morning. I have to stop myself and remind myself that there's actually no sugar in it. I also don't scrimp on quality healthy fats like olive oil, coconut oil, ghee, avocado. It's not unlike me to slather olive oil or even coconut oil on my body also in lieu of, say, lotion. I also do eat animal protein, but I'm also opting for leaner, cleaner cuts, and I don't necessarily eat them every day. I also do supplement, but most of the time I'm only going to supplement if my blood tests are telling me that I'm deficient in something. And I do have a few staples that might be the exception to that, and I'll share those with you. So one of them is a whole food calcium from algae, because something like a calcium carbonate, for example, could possibly be doing more harm to your body than good. So the problem is, doctors will suggest that they might say, "Oh, your bones are looking blah blah. They're not looking great right now," or maybe you do a what is the test where they test your bones? A bone density test. Thank you. A bone density test. And they'll say, "Oh, you look like you might be looking at osteopenia or osteoporosis. You need to supplement with some calcium." The problem is, because in our system, our medical doctors only get, I think, 15, units, or not even units, like a very small amount of nutrition education. They're not really fully telling you the whole picture here. So if you pick up the wrong kind of calcium, it could actually contribute to calcium buildup in your blood that causes blockages. So make sure you're taking a whole food calcium supplement. I also take a high quality vitamin C, as well as a D and a K. And those all work together for cellular health. And vitamin C is linked to so many benefits. It's obviously a great fuel for your cells. It acts as an antioxidant. It's also wonderful for skin. It's vital to energy. And oftentimes it's why when right before you travel, you'll hear people go, oh, take some vitamin C. Remember the emergency packs that people used to have? Those were just 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So really great at helping boost your immune system. And so when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, one of the things that came up as I was doing research and also listening to both Eastern and Western medical doctors is hearing constantly about how they would give high doses of vitamin C because it just had such a strong effect on the immune system. If I'm feeling a little iffy, I will actually go down to the local med spa and do a vitamin IV. And a lot of times they have them that are specially made for things like if you're not feeling well, and they'll have those available for you. So I highly recommend a really good, healthy vitamin C. And again, if you can get it from Whole Foods, even better. And I like the combination of Whole Foods along with the supplement, with a high quality supplement. The other thing I take, and I take this before bed, is by a company called Timeline. And the ingredient here is called urolithin A, and that supports mitochondrial strength and muscle endurance. So really good for your muscles. You know, I'm older, so making sure that I have good fuel for my muscles and that I'm building muscle is still really important, especially at my age. I've also said goodbye to heavy caffeine like coffee. To be fair, I actually never said hello to coffee. I instead use alternates like a black or a green tea. And most days it's hot water. I don't actually give myself any types of like caffeine at a specific time of day. And the reason for that, the reason most people have what's called like a coffee headache or even a little bit of a coffee addiction, the reason it exists is because often so many of us have that at the same time every day. So your body, what happens is it's priming itself for that caffeine hit, right? Because it's now you're training your body that, oh, we're going to give you caffeine at 7 a.m. every morning. So what happens is when it doesn't come, that's when you get a headache because your body has been prepping to get that caffeine that's not natural in the body, but you've been giving it to your body at the same time every day. And so your body in turn reacts, and sometimes it doesn't feel very good because it's been used to getting it for so long. I personally have a general rule, which is anything that rules me, I must learn to rule. So if coffee rules you, then it's also a great time for a little reflection and maybe a reevaluation with your relationship with coffee. Also, there's no judgment here, guys. There are many benefits also to caffeine. It's just finding the right rhythm for yourself and making sure that you ideally don't do it on an empty stomach. So just know that you could be like frying your silly, it's those are the little like hairs in your stomach that are, again, your gut is such an important place for health and wellness that you want to feed it good stuff, and coffee first thing in it, not so great, not so great. You might feel good energetically because you're getting that dose of caffeine, but your gut is actually screaming at you from the inside. So worth looking at and making some shifts, or just tricking yourself a little bit. Maybe you try coffee at different times of the day instead of being so used to it just at that particular time, or try more natural causes. Also, sometimes people find that what they like is the ritual of coffee. They like the ritual of making this warm drink every day. They don't actually like coffee. They just like the ritual of doing the warm drink. So maybe there's a different kind of warm drink you can do for yourself that would be better for you and better for your gut. So on my skin, I use frankincense oil and a hyaluronic acid. I also use a high grade vitamin C externally, great for my skin. I used to Botox about 5 years ago. I don't do it anymore. And I found that my skin actually looks better now than some of my pictures from 5 years ago, y'all. So I use a gua sha tool on my face also that helps drain drain the lymphatic system, any excess like water that the reason people get puffy eyes and things like that are often because their face is holding liquid. And so the gua sha helps. It's a little stone, and you guys, you don't even need that. You can technically use your hands, and there are some wonderful tutorials online that can show you how to do it and how to work it and how it works and all that good stuff. And just being able to move the skin around your face and to touch the fascia and move it around will do wonders for you. I also wear a mouth guard, but I'm leaving this pillar of nutrition and getting off beat here. So I'm going to circle back to that as we go through these pillars. And I want to give you the second pillar, which is exercise. And in exercise, I'm just saying movement. Okay, so move like you mean it. You hear people say, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And movement is one of those things. Some of my favorite ways to move are hiking, volleyball, yoga, qigong, calisthenics, which means I don't need anything external. I can literally use my own body weight. I do like to sprinkle in weight training and regular chiropractic care because that supports my muscle tone and my joint health. I also move daily. Even if it's just gentle stretching or a long walk. The key to this is to find movement that you actually enjoy. And if you haven't found something yet, then keep trying because we are meant to move. Many of you know pickleball is all the craze these days. So perhaps that will be, the one that gets you because it's brought so many people back to health and wellness that have had taken a break before or had tennis elbow. It's a different way to move the body and great exercise and also great for community building. The other tools that I use, especially in recover, are cold exposure. And so we think of ice baths or cryotherapy, also cold showers. That helps to trigger healthy stress and what's called mitochondrial adaptation. So in normal speak, it's tricking your cells out of the same old routine. Okay, and it's keeping them sharp. So think about a little obstacle course for your cells so that they're staying ready to support you. There's also some controversy around cold plunging, and that's particularly for women. I do know for myself, I actually did start out training in super cold water, around 39 degrees, and y'all's super cold. I also noticed, though, that I get the same effect. And when I say the same effect, meaning more brown fat instead of yellow fat, less fat around my organs, those kinds of benefits. Also, faster recovery of my muscles. I get the same effect from plunging in 50-degree temperature as I do 39. So I don't need to go as cold as 39. I know 50 is actually going to do the same thing for me. 65-degree wet, not so much, but it's got 50 or lower for me. And they do say that for most women, it's usually a much warmer amount of water than 39, whereas men typically can stick around the 39-degree mark, and that's what many of them need. Now, the controversy here, if any of you follow, let's say Kashif Khan, he's done a few studies around how it depends on your DNA as to whether cold therapy is good for you or not. Now, I know for me, it's a great source of calculated stress on my body and excellent for muscle recovery and for the brown fat, that I was telling you about and having, less of that fat you don't want around your organs. And it could be different for you. So important for you to know your body and do some testing so that you can find out for yourself. The other thing that I use for recovery is I use a Shakti mat. For some of you that don't know what that is, it's a mat with these really sharp points on it. If you've ever seen those videos, which are usually out of a crowd from India where a guy is being lowered onto a board with nails and he's laying on them, it's a very similar activity, except these nails will not cut you. At least I've managed to go unscathed now for a very long time. But what happens is you lay down on it and it's pretty intense, especially for the first couple minutes. And the reason it's intense is because it's causing all of your blood flow to go to that area. So for me, it was my back. And my back is getting all of this blood flow, and you can actually feel the throb. But what's happening is it's sending all that blood flow back there, which is sending healing, right? Because that's part of anytime you're especially doing like a hot and cold therapy. This is some of the best heat therapy I could ever do for myself that has beaten out a heating pad any day. And although it's not as comfortable as, say, a heating pad, it for sure allows my body to come to its own rescue. And I think that part is the most important part of this. So if you have some level of tolerance and you want to try it out, I highly recommend a Shakti mat. I was recently dealing with an injury in my back, and it was really fantastic to use the Shakti even more regularly and do that with alternating cold therapy. And I found that I healed so much faster and quicker than we all thought I would. So that was really great. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to be down for long. So I found it super helpful. The other one is going to be dry brushing after my showers. That helps stimulate lymphatic drainage, which means we're going to move out the junk and send it for processing to get it out of our bodies. Also, if you've ever used a sauna or a steam room, it's got a similar effect. And I do use those as well. I also use castor oil packs at night. Castor oil is a really age-old remedy. It's been around a long time. That is used for liver and hormone support. Castor oil has lots of amazing benefits. I don't know if we have enough time for me to list them all here, but worth looking up as well and seeing if that's something that would feel supportive for you. It's been another game changer for me for sure. And of course, using organic castor oil in that remedy has been helpful. The other thing that I do is when I sleep at night, I have this is what I was talking about earlier. And it's so interesting because I'm actually not sure like really what category to put this in, but I use mouth tape and I also wear a mouth guard. The mouth guard helps me not to grind because sometimes we have these levels of stress that are very subconscious and we don't even realize it. And so here we are stressing and grinding our teeth at night, which is terrible for our teeth. If you're a mouth breather, you're probably causing more cavities because your teeth and your mouth is drying out when you're breathing through your mouth. And so mouth tape allows you to learn to breathe through your nose instead of your mouth. The other cosmetic effect that it's had, y'all, is I have a great jawline. So if you see this, if you look from, I'd say 5 years ago before I was using mouth tape, I started using mouth tape, I think right before the pandemic or maybe just right as it was happening. But that's when I started and I can really see the difference here in my jaw and my chin. It just has made such a difference and it's a game changer. It really is a game changer. Now, if you have sleep apnea, they say you shouldn't use mouth tape for obvious reasons. But if you don't, then it really is a game changer. And it's a really, really good way for you to learn to breathe through your nose properly when you sleep. And I think for many of you will also find that if you have any kind of little snoring that you do, it will help reduce that a bit. So those are also part of my regular regimen. And I know they're not overly sexy, but but it's good for me and keeps me looking good the rest of the time. So regular movement, it's what it actually improves mitochondrial health and activates the enzyme that protects your DNA and slows aging. So movement in all those ways is going to feel good for you and keep you younger. As we move through these next few pillars, I do want us to be able to take a little bit of break here, and then we'll be back right after this little message for the last three. All right, let's dive into pillar 3, which is one of my favorites, and it's mindset. Because I want to focus on thoughts that heal versus steal my joy. And I hope you will too. Every day that I have starts and ends with gratitude. And I do this through journaling. I do it through meditation. I do it through prayer and in always speaking kind words to myself. I treat myself like I'm my biggest fan. I also do regular intentional breath work, which helps recenter myself. Visualization practices, those are my anchors. They help me get present, but they also keep me excited for what I'm calling in for myself in the present here and now. I also use low frequency sound therapy tools like Amp Coil, and there's also one by NASA called Evolutioner. It's an app. You can download it to your phone. That helps to restore balance in the nervous system. Both of these are based on a science of sound frequency, and this is the sound frequency of healing. If you want to see the published studies, if you want to see the science behind it, you can actually go right into the Evolutioner app and you can read about them there. It is called a PEMF therapy, and those are shown to increase cellular voltage. So think about energy, and they are shown to promote ATP production, and ATP is key for anti-aging. And you can do this in as little as 2 minutes, or you can do it for, an hour. And so you all know, like, I typically average right around 30 minutes a day. I do about 12 to 15 in the morning, and then another 12 to 15 before I go to bed. And it's another one that I think has just been a great way of getting all the chatter out of my mind and just centering down before I get going into my day, and also before I get to sleeping at night, so that my body can regenerate. I'm also a believer in integrating plant medicine for deep inner healing. I would say that that is how we rewire old patterns. It's also how we can get below the surface a few more layers. And sometimes it might just end up being a time of fun and reflection, or a time of serenity. Because if you're able to get authentic with yourself without the assistance of plant medicine, then that's really when you've arrived. And I have seen the healing power, though, that plant medicine can bring, because that is really hard for most people. I'm also excited to see it become more popular, and I'm excited that there are more studies being done around it to bring it to the mainstream. As far as going back to gratitude, what I want you to know is that it does increase dopamine and serotonin while reducing inflammation. Meditation literally preserves brain matter and boosts your good hormones. So just know that those times of quietness with yourself, and those times where you can really anchor down, are exactly what your body needs, and it's how it does a reset. And in such a time and a society where we're told to go, go, go and do, what I'm telling you is that what your body is asking you for is for a little rest and a little relaxation and just some moments. And they don't even have to be that long, y'all, but you do have to make time for them and make them a priority. Uh, Getting clear in your mind is such a great way to get clear on your actions. And when we can do that, we are just better at making the decisions that are right for us, into feeling into our intuition, and to understanding what we actually need to do next for ourselves, instead of listening to what other people might be saying and listening to other influences that might be showing up. So, pillar number 4 is connection. I like to call this longevity through love. I am a people person, but more than that, I am a purpose person. Connection and community are definitely part of my anti-aging formula. So if you've ever seen a documentary on the blue zones in the world, the one major thing they all have in common is a strong sense of belonging in a community. So these strong social ties reduce early mortality risk by up to 50%. Love and laughter, those release oxytocin, which calms your nervous system. And, being around others who elevate my energy, can give me real talk, can laugh with me, that we can belly laugh and we can love deeply and love fully, those really are the real medicine. And it's also said that people with pets live longer, more quality driven lives. And I can tell you, my dog is a daily joy activator, also my walking buddy. And of course, my last part of that is massages. It's healing touch. People underrate how much touch can be healing. And I do realize that for some people, touch can be very activating. But for also many of us, healing can be through touch. And I personally feel like I get the physical and emotional benefits when someone is touching me purposefully, whether that's the therapeutic, tension releasing massage by my therapist, or it's a gentle caress or an ass slap from my lover. So it can go either way. Pillar 5, this one is also one of my favorites, and it's creating an environment of peace. Your space, it should reflect your energy. So daily sunlight, that's part of my space. I get 10 minutes at least in the morning, usually 15 to 20 of that direct sunlight. And that helps reset circadian rhythm. It improves mood. It boosts mitochondrial function. And y'all, I don't actually wear sunscreen, but I do use sun wisely. And to be fair, I have naturally olive skin and lots of melanin. So do the right thing for yourself and always check those ingredient lists, because if you're wondering about ingredients, you can snap a picture of those, pop it into ChatGPT, and it will tell you what's toxic or not. Also, your home should be your healing space. I know mine is. Lots of natural light, minimal screens after dark, plants everywhere. There is a great book called How to Grow Fresh Air, and it outlines all the plants that are helpful for removing toxins. Toxins that exist in most households. It's also a great way to bring a little outside of nature inside. For my body, using those natural products, Madison Reed for hair color, oils to tame the waves, also natural oils in exchange for toxic fragrances that are also in many lotions. That's been a great swap. My friend Allie has a list of great swaps as well, and I'm trying to think of the name of her company. It is called, or it's not even like a company, it's just her list. I'm going to have to drop it in the comments, y'all, because I don't remember it off the top of my head, but she has a whole list of ingredient swaps that you can make that are healthier. Oh, it's called Is It Clean? It's isitclean.org. So check out isitclean.org. Also, I use vinegar and baking soda as cleaning agents instead of bleaches and harsh chemicals for cleaning my home and my clothes. So, dryer sheets used to be my favorite scent, but once you actually find out how toxic they are and how disrupting they are to your hormones, you won't use them again. I ground on the earth barefoot. Just 10 minutes of grounding reduces inflammation. It improves heart rate variability, and it helps regulate, again, your circadian rhythm. Blocking that blue light after dark, really important. You can use glasses. They make blue light blocking glasses. They also have screen protectors. And if mine wasn't going to mess with my camera right now, I would show it to you, but I have one for my actual screen on my computer. You could also choose to use candles versus the bright lights. I use candles at night because I'm priming my body for rest. I'm letting it know the sun has gone down and we're getting there. We're getting there. And I definitely prioritize sleep as my superpower. And too many times people underestimate sleep, but I will swear to you that it is my fountain of youth. If you guys have also ever seen Jennifer Lopez, she talks about how much sleep she gets. And if you look at her, she is another 50 plus year old who looks amazing. And I really think that we are underrating how amazing sleep is for us and our body, because it's where we repair at night. It's how our body just resets altogether and how it heals. And we don't always give ourselves enough time for that process to do its work. And if we did, we could look younger, feel better. And also, we could probably do an entire episode on the power of sleep and rest. And I do promise you that we will do one later this season because it's that important of a topic. And there are some also great books around why we sleep and why they are so important. So as we wrap today, I just want to remind you that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Choose what supports your cells, your soul, and your joy, because that is the real anti-aging protocol. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a like and subscribe so that YouTube lets you know when a new show is uploaded, or Spotify or Apple, whatever you're listening on today. And until next time, may abundance walk beside you, may joy go before you, and may love always guide you on your path. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. We air live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Bold Brave TV. We hope to see you back next week. For more ways to connect with my guests, content, programs, and retreats, just head over to www.marydee.com and subscribe. That's MARYDEE.com.